Hello, everybody. All right, we are live on YouTube and Twitch. Looks like somebody's listing quite a few Super Nintendo cards ending tonight. Thank you, Twaybro. Thank you for the watch streak. Thank you for the 45. Let's put a poll in the YouTube side. Do you think, since we're going to know really soon, Switch 2 cases will be the same size as Switch cases? Thank you, Padrino. Thank you for the golden membership on YouTube. 14 months already. Alright, so let's see. No, they will stay the same. Yes, they will be bigger. Or no. Or yes. Oh, hold on, I did this backwards. Yes. No, they will be bigger. No, they will be smaller. Curious to see what people think. Hello, Joe. Hello, Pi. Thank you, Nolan. Hello, Everyday Ninja. Games cost $70, they'll be bigger physically, yeah. It's not a bad point, honestly. Maybe they will make them bigger to make it feel like you're getting something more expensive. But let me tell you though, a Switch cart would look ridiculous in a normal game case. Like, giant case for that little tiny cart. Unless they keep the case size the same, but make the plastic a little bit thicker to make it feel more premium. Colossia. I would love it if they made the cases the same size as Japanese GameCube cases, and then put a slipcover on them. Peacock effect in full bloom here. Every little pamphlet. I think complete copies of this right now are going for like, what, $600–700? This one's a little banged up though. Doesn't the case match the size of the console? You mean like the normal Switch cases right now, or are they the same size as the console without the Joy-Cons on it? I actually never thought about that. It might be similar, but probably not exact. I hope they bring back colored spines too. I'm really not a fan of the eye-bleeding red. Bring back unique-looking spines that are using the game's logos and stuff. Yeah, bring back cardboard boxes so they're worth a fortune 20 years from now, exactly. Retire off your Switch 2 games. Man, I wouldn't even put it past Switch 2 to bring back cardboard boxes. I could see it happening. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility. I would assume that Switch 1 stuff will work with the second console. I don't think Nintendo would be that evil. Yeah, they gotta do something with all the leftover Labo cardboard, exactly. No, I've never played the Labo. Are these all sealed or something? The console is slightly bigger, yes. The screen is a little bit bigger. This is a really awkward statue. It looks like it's incomplete. Was there a second part to this statue? God, these... See, this is when I really stopped caring about statues for games. Just a cheap hunk of plastic. Statue started really going downhill at one point. It's a pretty boring statue. You'd think they would at least like give you a werewolf or something. Hoping Final Fantasy would go on sale. The collection? That went on sale for Black Friday. That's when I picked mine up. PS4 version. Now, right now I'm just looking forward to the Switch 2 and what games are coming out for that, and I'll be planning accordingly for that. Other than that, just Expedition 33. And we'll see what happens after that. I think the PS4 is a good time to pick up. Right now is a good time to buy PS4 games, yeah. They are pretty cheap, most of them. PS4 and especially Xbox One. But I'm not confident that Xbox One games will ever really go crazy. A select few. I think they will forever kind of be like the equivalent of overprinted DVDs for the video game world. But the funny thing is they're not really overprinted. It's just that most of the games people just don't care to own. And they are very easy to get right now, so it's like for those Xbox One games to go up in price, there would have to be sudden demand out of nowhere. This is right around the time when I started getting out of Vita. This Mind Zero game. I remember being very on the fence about picking that up. And then I decided not to. And it was not too long after that where I just like took a break. May Labyrinth of Death, don't remember what that is at all. So many Neptunia games. Yeah, I remember reading the reviews, they weren't flattering. But I was very intrigued by like any dungeon crawler at the time. And that's why I was like, I'm taking a break from the Vita, because I felt the need to get any like Japanese RPG on there, even if it wasn't that great. And then of course the limited editions. Practically every Vita game was getting one. Yes, PS3 games right now are also pretty cheap. Zoid's Assault. Let's see what Zoid's Assault is going for. This one was really expensive during the 360 apocalypse. I would assume it's come back down by like half. Yeah, not quite half, but it's kind of coming back down to reality. It looks like people are asking like 50, 60 bucks for it. So this could be a potential good grab if anybody needs this game. It's currently $28 plus $4 shipping. Here is the link. No, that kind of already happened when they announced the store closure, but then they didn't actually close the store. So right now people are very not interested in PS3 games because they kind of already went through it. It's a really nice condition box on this. As we learned last week, this goes for about 50 bucks complete. So this one going for $24 plus $8 shipping is pretty nice. And that box looks almost mint. Like fresh off the factory line. So I'll link this. Are you the one bidding on that? Are you actually bidding on Rush? Asti is like, please don't notice, please don't notice. Oh, Zoids, okay. Did you have a bid on it already, or are you planning on bidding? Physical Until Dawn going for $40. Pretty surprising. Wonder if they ever patched out all the weird crashes that game had. No, I think they kept it because they weren't expecting the amount of backlash that they received for it. If I remember right, the notice was like really short notice. So they kind of walked it back. Honestly, it was really good PR for them. In terms of like getting people to buy games. Because guess what? They get to do it all over again whenever they decide to actually shut it down. The craziest part is they just recently updated the PS3. I guess like the online... I don't know specifically what they updated, but they pushed out an update on that thing not long ago. Out of nowhere, and it had been, I think, years since they updated it. Makes you wonder what's going on behind the scenes there. Oh, the Blu-ray. The annual Blu-ray player. For a second, I thought that was the cardboard box for Sonic. This picture really reminds me of, like, something you'd almost see in a catalog in a magazine back in the day. I don't know what it is about it. Just like that atomic purple controller. Just kind of the way it's laid out. It really does look like an ad. Not even an ad, but just like something you see in a magazine. It's got the 90s look. Wow, I've never seen this box for Wolfchild. Wolfchild has some really cool box arts. That one's pretty good. Also, the delay on YouTube should be way faster tonight. The other streams I was forgetting to turn on ultra low latency, so you guys should like have almost instant. Like it should be in line with Twitch, pretty much. The delay. Yeah, I'm not a fan of games that have no music like that. If other versions exist with music, so that's good to know. That is definitely a pet peeve of mine. Really, my games need to have music. I hate silent games. Unless, I mean, you could excuse something like that on the Atari, right? But even the NES, you got music. So it's hard to look past that for any game most of the time. One of my favorite racing games. This is the version I have. I'm going to post a link for this just because I feel like this game needs more love. Some of the best tracks ever. Some of the best racing music ever. Some of the best sense of speed ever in a racing game. Breaking the sound barrier. Sealed Switch games. Sorry, sealed Wii games. Hello, checking. You hate when music plays when you pause the game. Oh, I actually like music when you pause the game. Yeah, menus with no music, I'm also not a fan of that. More of a streaming thing, though. Less silence, the better. Hello, Chemdream. What's the $950 any Super Nintendo game? At this point, that stuff doesn't even faze me. I just see it and keep scrolling. Well, if it was on the previous page, we're probably not going to see it, though. Mortal Kombat 2, not for resale demo cartridge. So some people really collect those. If they're authentic, they can be pretty rare. Well, thank you, Carson. Yes, Photoshop. Back when you used to be able to just buy it and use it outright without having to pay a monthly fee. Ridiculous. I think Photoshop 7 was my first Photoshop too, and I used it forever. Unfortunately, in the years leading up to when I had to switch over to my other PC, the version of Photoshop that I had was starting to get finally outdated to the point where some files were not like loading more recent filters and textures and stuff if I imported a file. So it finally started to catch up with it. Panzerfront, fairly uncommon. Years ago, that game used to be about 30 bucks. I don't know what it's going for now. Probably a little bit cheaper, I would imagine. I don't use GIMP, no. I use Canva. I can't use GIMP. Oh, anytime I tried that program, the UI in it is just disgustingly bad. It's a lot more user-friendly. I could check it out again, but yeah, anytime I tried using it in the past, it was so bad. Let's see, they're asking 130. Let's see. Oh, this is cracked up, but that's okay. Swap the case. It's actually a very fair price for all this. So this does look a little sun faded. That cover. I think the yellows are supposed to be a little more yellow. Like it looks. It's not like badly sun damaged, but it definitely has some fading. But Alone in the Dark, I think, is probably in that condition about 30, 35. Last Revelation, about 15. Greatest Hits Twisted Metal, I think that's about 30 bucks. Resident Evil 2, Dualshock Edition, that can vary wildly. That's anywhere between like 30 and 50. 60 if it's mint condition. Spyro, that's another one of those games that can vary. This can be anywhere between like 20, 25, and 60. So I usually go with like $40 for Spyro on an average price. This Need for Speed, I'm not sure. I think it's about 15 to 20. Don't mind the cover on that. You know, you just swap the cover. Hopefully they consider that into the price, because no big deal. Greatest hit on that is about 30 to 40. But let's just say 30 on that to be safe. So 3. I'll even round down on some of these. 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Yeah, I mean, you're easily looking at $180 to $200 a games here. So it's a pretty fair asking price. Let's see what the description says. See, this is my favorite kind of listing. A seller that drastically decreases the price of their games because the cases are cracked. But who cares, right? Like, spend the 30 seconds to swap the case out. If it means you save a bunch of money. Alright, let's see the condition. Spyro looks a little sketchy. That kind of scratching may need a buffer. That's a pretty nasty scratch there on... What game is that? Tomb Raider? Ooh, yeah. See, this is the kind of scratch that you... This is Tomb Raider, I think? Maybe? That kind of scratch is the one that's going to cause you issues. This one that is, like, nice and uniform, scratched along the edge. Those are the ones that are... This is definitely going to skip some music or have trouble loading, like, for sure. In my experience. Oof, okay, well, now I think we're beginning to see why this is priced cheaply. Not so much because of the cases, but because these discs are pretty bad. Well, it's still good if somebody's using a professional disc buffing machine, but holy crap, yeah, these are bad. I would not buy this if you're not buffing these. I'll still post the link because there are people that buff their discs. And I think if you're okay with buffing discs, this is pretty alright. Have I played Parasite Eve games? I've played 1 and 2. I really like 1. 2 is alright as its own thing. It's like just a regular old survival horror game, it's okay. Would I play it again? Maybe one of these years. But I would definitely replay 1 before 2. I sampled it a little bit. But I was not committing to playing it at the time. One of these days. For metaphor. I'm not typically streaming 60, 70 hour RPGs. That's something I have to do off stream in my own time. I get a sneaking suspicion we may also see that game on Switch 2, which seems like an ideal way to try and play it. I actually found somebody that was streaming that pools game that I was playing last night. And he was stuck on the level that I was stuck on. The one with the stupid slides that you gotta go down to find the anomalies. That was fun. He found it though without help, so but it was a frustrating experience for them. It's really fun to like suffer through playing a game and then find somebody else also suffering through it so you can watch them. So many good ones in Dreams. I might have to check it out. I think I underestimate Dreams, and I'm sure at this point some of the games are really good. Yeah, I found it was really hard to find gameplay of RPG Maker with. I'm pretty sure, because I watched the trailer, I am pretty damn sure that that game is never coming to PC. I think that is probably a console exclusive RPG Maker. But I did finally find a video, an hour video of someone just like playing around with the tools to make a game. It did look, you know, it did look complex. It is not as easy as we think it's going to be. But the menus were pretty clean. It looks like something that, if you take the time, you can get good with it. It apparently came out on Switch back in, I don't know, September, October, something like that last year. And I think it's cross-platform. So I think if I make a game on PS5, it'll be on Switch. I have never played any of the Sonic Olympic games. I definitely want to try them at some point, but yeah, back when they used to come out, I didn't care about them at all. Still kind of don't, to be honest, but I would like to try them one day. I have confidence I would finish making it. It depends what I commit to for length. I think aiming for a game you can beat in like 5 to 8 hours might be a good starting goal for that. Alright, come back to auctions, since these ones are not over for a bit. Alright. Let's go back here. Black Mamba, thank you very much for the 39 months. Coming up with the story and the progression of the story would definitely be the hardest part. But I was looking at some of the assets that you have to like buy separately, and some of the character models actually look really cool. And it looks like nobody is using them. So it would be kind of like unique. on the storefront for RPG Maker. Because the ones that I sampled last night, it seemed like everybody was just using the same free assets, but the ones you pay for, it seems like nobody uses them. It's a very mediocre game lot. $15 shipping. The horror community stepped up their creations. That's cool that people are still making games in Dreams. I always felt like they just never really supported creators on there enough. But then again, I guess that's because Sony wasn't really supporting them. Well, I can look through Game Boy Advance stuff and point some stuff out as we go through it. I never made anything in Dreams. Making games in Dreams was a bit more of a commitment than you would think. If you wanted to make something decent. The issue with Dreams is anyone willing to learn on that professional level can use Unity? Yeah. I don't think Unity was quite as popular as it is now back when Dreams came out, right? So it's like they were kind of, well, more so, it wasn't as popular as it is now when they were developing Dreams. So by the time Dreams came out, they were kind of blindsided by Unity, I would imagine. Yeah, it's just the learning curve of getting over... The tutorials in Dreams are extensive, and that it would take hours to go through them, I think. Iridion 3D is always good if you're looking for something nice and cheap. And the sequel is one of the better shoot-'em-ups that I've played, just because the graphics and the music are amazing for the console. I remember this Altered Beast not being super good, so approach that one with caution. I remember it being very chaotic. I don't have any more Garbage Pail Kids right now, but I'm sure I will if I get my hands on it. No, I'm a big fan of the original Altered Beast. The campiness of that game just never gets old. Yeah, I remember not really liking the graphic style for the Game Boy Advance Altered Beast. If you want to talk about a bad Altered Beast, the one on PS2 is... That game was pretty mediocre. Buy stuff on eBay. Not so much games right now because I'm pretty content with like I bought a lot of stuff for my roulette wheel for PS2, so you know, once we move through some more of that, I'm sure I'll get more. Some of the worst looking game covers ever. Did they really think this looked good? I think this was targeted more towards parents that would just see 2 games in one and be more inclined to buy it. $369 games in one. Sure, they're all wonderful games. Custom clear cover. Are people really still buying modded Game Boy Advances and stuff? It just feels like there's so many options out there now. But I guess some people just... You really can't beat the portability of a SP, though. That is for sure. I could see buying an SP, a modded SP. The original Game Boy Advance is a little bit of a harder sell, I'd imagine, at this point. But they're still portable as hell. So... I remember when people cared about having the AGS 101 because of the screen being better. Now there's just so many options out there. Then again, having a custom Game Boy Advance SP with like custom colors that you pick out yourself, custom colored buttons, it's probably really fun. More of a little art piece. The L and R buttons aren't that great. Oh, that is true. That is true. The L and R buttons on the original Advance are pretty amazing. Imagine pitching a game today where you have to go out in the sun to play the game. Good old Boktai. Good luck with that. Come on, little Billy, you gotta go sit out in the sun to play your game. Nope. Kid's gonna throw a tantrum. Do I still have my Wonder Swan? Yep. Well, the sad point is, though, most people play Pokemon Go by sitting on their asses indoors these days. Or driving around in their car dangerously. I don't know, I haven't seen somebody walking around playing Pokemon Go, like, out and about in years. Never even heard of this game. Don't think I've ever seen this. Is that a platformer? Just never noticed the box. Well, I think that Go added the ability for people to play stationary indoors by some means. I don't remember what that means was, but yeah, before that people would change their location. Kind of like cheat the system. Yeah. Pokemon Go launch was... you will never see anything like it again. It was like an episode of The Twilight Zone. I actually feel bad for the people that didn't give it a chance, because man, you will never see a game like that again. I will never forget when Blastoise spawned in this town, and like it must have been 300 people all start sprinting into the middle of the road, because you had to be pretty damn close to like get it to show up in your game. Sprint and gather in the road, cars honking their horn because people wouldn't get out of the street. The whole town was just taken over by people in like their 20s, 30s, and 40s. The people there that had no idea what Pokemon Go was must have been like, what is happening? Everybody's just walking around staring at their phones. The older people must have really thought they were like in the Twilight Zone, seriously. It was so trippy for them. You will never forget the launch of Pokemon Go if you were out and about when it came out. I guess it depended on the area that you were in. But if you were in a good area, it was wild as hell. Yeah, I don't think I spent a penny on Pokemon Go. What did they sell you? The lures and stuff? Yeah. I didn't buy any of that. Yeah, it was probably a good thing that my phone at the time had a hard time running Pokemon Go, otherwise I probably would have been addicted as hell to that game. I remember going to a park where it was just like this simple loop around this pond, and there must have been like 100 people there. At a place where normally there's probably like 3 to 5 people maybe walk in the area. Just 100 people lapping this pond over and over, trying to catch Pokemon. I don't know, what do you guys think? What game would come out on the level of Pokemon Go that could potentially have that, like, phenomenon again? The only thing I can think of would be, like, a completely Nintendo-themed game, maybe, with all Nintendo characters. I have no idea. Pokemon is just, like, so much bigger than most things, though, so it's kind of... I don't know if anything could top it. Maybe if they re-release a Pokemon Go 2, which I highly doubt they would do, because, you know, with this buyout, they're probably just going to keep the first one going. Mega Man, no, I don't think Mega Man would do it. No, I don't even think Fortnite would do it. I don't think you'd be able to get the Fortnite kids out of their house to stop them from playing Fortnite to begin with. Just a lot of the usual suspects here for Game Boy Advance. Maybe I should search complete. Yu-Gi-Oh? No, Yu-Gi-Oh would not do it. Yeah, I don't think anything would beat it. I think that was just a product of its time. Let me skip a page or two. Hello, Ian. Oh, this game is actually... I kind of remember playing this. It's a decent little platform shooter. Lilo and Stitch. Never watched the movie, never cared to. The game is pretty decent. Oh, this is one of the best Godzilla games. I would definitely recommend this. It's short, but it has a lot of replay value. Just a straight up arcade style beat 'em up game with some great sprites, fun boss fights. Really good. Over 3 modes of play. Yeah. You don't even have to be a Godzilla fan to enjoy it. See a Disney World related ARG game do something similar. I can see that. I think you're right. I think maybe something with Disney to get all those Disney adults out in the streets. That current day Disney though, I don't know about that. But Disney in its heyday, yeah, I think that would be the only other potential thing that would get people outside in a Pokemon Go style. Or Marvel. I think if Marvel did something huge, of course, once again, in the current state, it's kind of like some people are getting very tired of Marvel stuff. But that's about it. Stuff like that, I think, would be the only thing that would even come close. I think they tried something with Harry Potter, that didn't work out. They tried something with Monster Hunter, that obviously didn't work out. It's just not big enough over here for a Monster Hunter Pokemon Go style game. $1,500. I recall this game being very expensive in the past when I've seen this. I guess it's just a super duper rare late release. Game is probably garbage. Probably a very standard shoot 'em up style game. A mobile Animal Crossing, yeah. I could see Animal Crossing absolutely working, where you go out and you like stumble upon. Oh, that could be super fun. You're just walking around and you get a notification that there's something you can dig up, and then it's like a piece of furniture. You go collect insects. Animal Crossing could definitely work in the Pokemon Go style. Instead of the Pokemon, you're collecting furniture, or you're meeting villagers. How cool would it be if you go out and you go for a walk and you just like, that's how you come across villagers and you befriend the villagers. Imagine though if they have like their own little homes and it happens to be like a home in your neighborhood. And if you want to hang out with the villager, you gotta like park yourself in front of your neighbor's house, just standing outside their house on your phone for like 20 minutes. You'd be like, what is this guy doing sitting outside her house for 20 minutes? Animal Crossing could work though, that would be fun. And then if you run into Mr. Rossetti, he resets your phone. I could see Nintendo taking a chance, but if Niantic is distancing themselves from Pokemon Go, I think the chances are not super good. Damn, that is the ultimate peacock right there. Look at this. Can they spread any more damn feathers with this one? So you got the poster, you got a second poster apparently. Kind of redundant, smaller version. The guide, the box, the pamphlets, the case, which is why you're spending this case, and this outer box are why you're spending an extra $2,000 on this. In case you're not sure why this is $3,000. This is like a rare variant where it comes with a little case for your SP, and then an outside box that holds the case with the game. And that is it. That is why you're spending $2,000. I've never seen this box either. And this is in Japan right now? Wow. This has to be pretty uncommon. Arcade Advanced with Frogger. Russian Attack, Time Pilot, Jairus, AR Kung Fu, Scramble. Nice and mint. Oh, thank you, Innkeeper. I appreciate the tier 1 sub very much. How would an F1 game be on Game Boy Advance? Ooh, it's got that fake 3D effect. Damn, that shit actually looks good. Those graphics actually look really good. I might have to keep my eyes out for this in the future. Have any of you played this? I love Game Boy Advance games that try and look 3D. I don't know what it is about older games that like try and fake a 3D effect. I'm just such a fan of that stuff. Especially on consoles that are not really capable of doing true 3D graphics. I have not played this, but I heard this is pretty good. It's like a Diablo style Lord of the Rings game. Two Towers on Game Boy Advance. It's also pretty cheap still these days. If you need links to any of these, just let me know. But, you know, I'm not going to link everything, but... Game Boy Advance version, or sorry, the Game Boy Color version of this very rare game for Extreme Ghostbusters. We never got it in the US, but trying to find a complete copy of that, quite difficult. Yeah, I really want to play Third Age on Game Boy Advance. There's quite a few Game Boy or Lord of the Rings games I never initially played. There's one on the PSP I want to try too. What was that? Tactics? Is it just called Lord of the Rings Tactics? I think it was called. Still some pretty nice, cheap Game Boy Advance games complete in box. Of course, you're kind of like digging the bottom of the barrel here. And not everything is ridiculously overpriced. This is a pretty good price for everything if it's brand new, good looking. Because this is everything. So you've got power card, this pamphlet, card, ticket. No, yeah, I think it's got everything. $80 is about what that would normally go for. Even people try and get 80, 75, 80 for that without all the extra stuff. Pokemon Pinball is a series that I would love to revisit one day. I remember, it was the only Game Boy Color game I ever rented, but I remember renting Pokemon Pinball on Game Boy Color. And I enjoyed it. Bit of a weird game to rent, but I was unsure if I would like it. But the thought of playing a pinball game and catching Pokemon at the same time, that really does feel like something I'd really be into these days. Wonder if we'll ever see a new one. Feels like the perfect kind of game to release on the Switch. A complete collection of every Battle Network game. I feel like they missed the boat on selling something like this a little bit. I think they would have had a better chance if they released this before the Network Collection came out. Still one of my favorite Game Boy Advance games. Still tempted to see how the PC version is. Good old Riviera. Such a unique RPG. There's still no RPG out there quite like this one. The thing that really made this stand out to me too, more so than like even just the unique progression style, the font type and the menus. Sting was so good at fonts and menus at the time, especially in Game Boy Advance. You get to see here, look how stylistic it is. This was sort of like what Persona did for modern RPGs in terms of how they do their menus, all stylistically. That's kind of what games like Riviera did. It's just that nobody really copied them. It was kind of their own thing. It did come to Steam sneakily. But I don't really know if it's a good version or not. They added a lot of quality of life additions. Difficulty adjustment, speed up, all kinds of, you know, the typical stuff that gets added to RPGs these days. Modern re-releases. But if there is an RPG that needs that kind of stuff, Riviera, to bring in a new crowd of people, it's a good addition, because that game can be a bit slow. Pokemon Fire Red, Leaf Green, so expensive. I really feel like I'm gonna play an older Pokemon at some point this year. I don't know what one yet though. It was a PSP version, but PSP version and Game Boy Advance version have very distinct differences that some people prefer over others. They changed the graphics in the PSP version a bit, like backgrounds and stuff widescreen. There's voice acting, music's different. Some people really just prefer the look and sound of the Game Boy Advance version. Oh, we're talking about Riviera. They added fast forward and easy experience, background music change with 5 types of sound sources. It would have I would imagine they might be trying to emulate Game Boy Advance. They might also put the Wonder Swan music in there. So Wonder Swan, Game Boy Advance, PSP, and then like maybe 2 different remixed versions, or I don't know. I don't know how they can have 5 different versions. Yeah, I had a double of Riviera that I sold with my auctions. What was it, last year? Went for a pretty good price too. And by good, I mean a good deal for the person that bought it. It was definitely like slightly below what they would normally go for. Good old lenticular covers. Always so eye-grabbing on the shelf. I'm surprised more games didn't do it. Oops. Yeah, I have a Wonder Swan. Wonder Swan color and a crystal. My original Wonder Swan color came with the Klonoa Collector's Edition. Like, that comes bundled with the game and the console. And then the Swan Crystal I just bought loose. A game I hoped that would get a sequel, but never did before the PS3. Well, probably Dark Cloud. I think a lot of people expected Dark Cloud 3 on the PS3. I remember getting Rayman Advance. One of my first Game Boy Advance games. Actually, it may have been my first now that I think about it. I remember being kind of disappointed in it, though. It looked great, don't get me wrong, but at the end of the day, it was kind of just Rayman. Which you can play in so many different ways prior. That Rayman effect, though, is hard to pass it up. It was cool. I mean, the colors really popped, but on the original Game Boy Advance, it was hard to see colors, right, with the screen. Unless you had really good lighting. Yeah, Golden Sun was definitely one of the most technically impressive games on the Game Boy Advance as well. The battles still look impressive as hell to me on that game. I'm always still blown away by the sprite effects, the scaling, the faked sort of like camera rotation, particle effects from their spells and summons. Such a crazy looking game. I was a bit more impressed with Rayman on the DS because it was a 3D engine game. Or 3DS rather. So like seeing Rayman running in 3D was actually kind of neat. The gimmick was fun for the launch at least. The honeymoon phase of the 3DS launch with its 3D effect lasted quite a long time for me. To the point where like I can buy a game and still enjoy it as long as it had good 3D. Pretty random lot. Oh, they do give you the N64. I mean, it's a cute little collection to get you started with both the Super Nintendo and an N64. Decent starter lot selection. I've never played Top Gear in the Advance. No, I'm assuming it's a game that uses an F-Zero type effect, right? The 3D effect made games like Steel Diver playable. Steel Diver without the 3D would have been one of the most boring games I'd ever played, but the 3D made it fun. Man, the Midnight Walk. That game may make me bust out the VR headset again, we'll see. Capcom Fighting Collection 2. Yes, I do look forward to that for Power Stone. That'll be fun. I think the 3DS is kind of timeless in that regard. I think you can show that thing to a kid 20 years from now, or maybe 10 years from now, and they'll still be really blown away by the 3D effect. No glasses 3D. Still got the PSVR 2. I had to stop playing it though because I was getting motion sickness like worse than the first PSVR, unfortunately. It's also really hard to stream. I was super disappointed with the fact that they took away, just comprehend this for a second. The first PSVR was kind of cool to stream because as you were streaming, Twitch chat would actually pop up in your headset. You could actually see the chat pop up in your headset. If you watch the stream that I uploaded on my second channel for when I streamed Skyrim VR, you can see the chat popping up on the stream. That was what I was seeing in my headset. So streaming PSVR was actually not too terrible. PSVR 2, I don't know if they ever changed it. I don't think they did. They took away that ability. You can't see chat in your headset anymore. What? So stupid. And you know, someone like me that wears glasses, it's not always a good idea to constantly be taking the thing on and off to try and read chat. Plus that does not help with the motion sickness. So the streaming features of PSVR 2 were awful. But I was a huge fan of PSVR 1. Like, I could not get enough of that damn thing. I was just so immersed in PSVR. That thing had really like reawakened something in me with like love for gaming. It was such a cool like first VR experience. I couldn't wait for more games to come out on that thing. They just weren't coming out fast enough. The game release schedule on the first PSVR was really bad. These are just cases. PS5 Pro makes the VR much better. I'm sure it does. I really don't want to have to buy a Pro, though, to make the VR smoother. I am really trying my best to avoid the Pro. I want to try and hold out for the PS6. Super Nintendo Reproduction lot. Oh, this could be a really fun lot. A bunch of Super Nintendo repros, English translations probably. I can remember when people were charging like $30 a cart for these. And then more and more people started reproducing games like this, and then they got cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. People started using cheaper plastic. Someone here might be interested in this though, if you're just looking to pick up a bunch of random, hopefully good translated games, because the translations on these may not be, they tell you here. Yeah, English translated, not in English cotton. You don't need English to play that game. Someone here might want this. You can't really do reproductions like that for PS2. You'd have to have a modded PS2 that would be capable of running like a burnt CDR or something. You're not just gonna find an English translation on a disc for Dragon Quest V. I have no idea what you mean, Tim. Another reproduction lot. It's very fairly priced. $10 a cart is super reasonable. Bunch of Mega Man games. I'll post this one too. Did I like the motion controls on the Move? Or you mean the PS3 controller itself? I didn't care for that stuff, no. It felt so gimmicky on a PS3 controller. It was also typically very inaccurate. You know the Sixaxis was bad when they had to completely patch layer to support normal controller play. Well, I originally picked up the Kinect when it came out. Was so disappointed in it that I got rid of it. I got it to play with Child of Eden, and I was blown away that they actually required you to stand up to play Child of Eden when all you had to do was just move your arms around, so I thought that was ridiculous. So I got rid of it. And then I had a pretty big bout of playing a bunch of Kinect games on stream until Sonic Riders just completely... My back has never been the same since I played that stupid game. It just had me doing so many unnatural twists of my body and spins and stuff. Yeah, my back has never been the same since I played that dumbass game. I did a marathon run for it, for like a speedrun marathon. So I was like having to play it as peak as I could for that stream, so that I wouldn't mess up too bad. And ever since that game, my back has given me more problems than ever. So yeah, anytime I think of the Kinect, I think of that game and messing up my back big time. So Sixaxis is the original release of the PS3 controller. I think a lot of people forget when the PS3 first came out, they actually did not have rumble in the controller. There was no Dualshock. So the original controllers are called Sixaxis, and it's actually good to know because if you ever go to buy a new PS3 controller, you want to avoid the Sixaxis controllers because they won't have rumble. If you buy a DualShock 3, it will have Sixaxis, but it'll also have rumble in it. The last limited edition of a game I bought was The Last Guardian. And before that, it had been a very long time since I bought one. My back, it's not the best. I'm actually using a heating pad on it right now. Some days it's worse than others. Some days it'll act up pretty bad, and I try and hold out as long as I can for the stream. The only thing that can fix it is more walking, which is good because we're in the spring now, so that means more walking. Yeah, all the years of terrible chairs, terrible posture, streaming for hours on end catches up with you, that is for sure. It's the price you gotta pay. Yeah, so I had x-rays done on my back in the past, and it's like arthritis. It's not really much you can do about it. It's more of a hereditary thing. So that, along with Sonic Kinect Riders, does not help. Stupid Sonic Kinect. I will never, unfortunately, play that. Or fortunately, I will probably never play that game again. But if you want to see me playing it, there is a video of me playing that game on YouTube. You can find it on my second channel. Which I will link here. I have a camera too, so you can like see me doing stupid jumps and spins. But I was pretty good at the game, to be fair. I was one of the, I probably played Sonic Connect or Free Riders or whatever better than most people would. Yeah, if I go for a walk, I try to walk for minimum half an hour. Should be doing another walking video soon, like a vlog video. Take the camera out, record a video. Out in the woods. Now that the weather's getting nicer. Let's change up our search. Yeah, I was gonna make a video talking about... Like, I did a video years ago talking about burnout with video games. I don't know if you caught that video, but I'm sure I can, like, update it at this point. I don't know, there's just so many different ways you can try and approach it. It really depends what kind of games you play as well. Like, are you playing RPGs? Or are you playing stuff on Steam? If you're playing stuff on Steam, that could be an issue too, because Steam has so many sales, you add so many games to your library, you always feel like you just have so much available to you. Are you using Game Pass? Game Pass can be a big problem, because you don't feel that level of commitment with Game Pass games, because you don't technically own them. You just feel like you could just hop around from one game to another. Have I thought about buying old Eye Judgment packs? Oh, I have. I've opened Eye Judgment packs on my card channel. I still have a bunch of those sealed, but I'm not opening them right now. Wait, look at that. Pixelly, look at this. Didn't you pick this up? I think I found this for you and it was like, what, 50 bucks, if that? Now people want 500. I don't think they're gonna get 500 for it. Or wait, maybe I didn't find this for you. Maybe, I think you kind of just found this on your own when you were getting in the standees, right? Can't remember. I remember finding something for you, though. Or did I find that on stream? Well, either way, mini standees are always, like... Those things are... They always go up in price. Wow, what a mysterious game. Fight, mate. You animal, you. Wow, what a description. Sold. Pokemon Heart Gold with the Pokewalker. Pokewalker would be kind of cool. But I think I want to play either that, what was it, the remakes that they released on Switch. What was it, 2 years ago? Like Sapphire, I think it was. Either that or like Leaf Green or something. Brilliant Diamonds. Was that game had problems with frame rate though, didn't it? See, something like that I'd really want to wait for the Switch too. The gold silver beta. So I could probably easily get a gold silver reproduction cart, right? With those sprites that were cut. I would imagine. I tried Yokai Watch 1, I really couldn't get into it. I actually went to a Yokai Watch release event when the game was coming out in the US, like for launch day. They held an event at Nintendo World, also known now as Nintendo New York. I much prefer Nintendo World, but whatever. They should have just called it Nintendo World New York. But they even flew out the president of Level 5 to the event for the signing. I didn't go there for Yokai Watch, I hate to tell you. I went there to get my copy of Dark Cloud and Ni no Kuni signed. I didn't give a crap about Yokai Watch. I just picked up the game, had him sign it, and then just hope the game would be good. But it wasn't very good. It never took off in the US either. It is a game I would love to try again though, but I could not get into that. They really wanted that series to succeed here. Doing a launch event like that, it's not something they would typically do for something like that. The cover for Grinch from the Japanese version is so much cooler. The US version is alright, but this one's way better art. He did sign it. He did. Let me see if I can find my copy. Give me a second. I don't know if it's in with my other 3DS games or not. One moment. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't see it. I probably showed it at some point in the past, and it's probably not with my normal collection. Either that or I just can't recognize the spine. It's somewhere. I've always wanted to do a video showing my signed game collection. I don't have a lot of games signed, but you know, once in a while I just pick up something on eBay that's signed or get something signed at a convention. I have some pretty cool, unique things that are signed that I still have not shown anybody. In anticipation of doing a video one day on it. Can use snail mail games to get signed. I did that once for a game I really loved on the Wii, Mushroom Men. I wrote the developers, told them I really loved their game and that I'm like telling everybody on YouTube about the game, which I was at the time. I was highly recommending that game. And I said I would love it if you could just sign my copy. So I mailed them my copy and they signed my game. I even put in like $5 for the return shipping cash with the game, which shipping back then was way cheaper than it is now, but still, for the convenience of, you know, somebody not having to run that thing down to the post office. Slitterhead worth $30. You can have some fun with that game for $30. $30 is getting closer to where I would recommend it. Hello, Suntan Duck. We found some good auctions earlier that I linked, yes. I'll be checking auctions again soon. really don't like to say that I regret selling games, because typically if I sell something, there's a good reason for it. So it's like, if I sold a rare game, and I wish I still had it, yeah, I mean, that happens, but I don't get hung up on it. I think that's a really bad mentality to have, to always feel like you regret selling something, because then you'll never want to sell anything. I've sold some pretty rare games in the past, though. Gotcha Force on GameCube. Facelli on the Neo Geo Pocket Color. I hope that's how you pronounce it. I can never remember how you pronounce that game. I've sold some pretty rare stuff at conventions over the years, but I haven't been selling lately. It was mostly just a lot of the doubles and things from the Mercari days when Mercari was some kind of fever dream. Mushroomman had 3 games in the series. There was the Spore Wars on the Wii, and then you had a DS game, and then there was actually a little-known PC game in the series as well. I don't remember the subtitle on it, but it's on Steam. It's like a side-scrolling Metroidvania kind of experience, if I remember it. Violin music. I don't go out of my way to listen to violin music, it just comes up in whatever I listen to. This is one of the harder to find PS2 games. This is definitely not a game you see all the time. I can't remember when this was about 40 bucks a few years ago. I knew one day the rarity would eventually catch up with it. Scribblenauts? I don't think I ever did Drone to Life. Scribblenauts I think I dabbled in, but I really don't remember my time with Scribblenauts. I wasn't super into that style of game where you gotta like write something in and have it populate in the game world. I thought it was a really cool gimmick at the time, but I never really got into that series too much. Oh my god, what happened to these things? These look kind of cool, but are they just out of print and people really want them or something? Are they really going for $1,000? I think they were selling these at GameStop, right? What I liked about these, I liked the fact that they were making physical carts with like unique little games for this. Almost like its own little console. The Mod Retro Chromatic. Sort of like a light competitor to the Analog Pocket. Well, I'm mostly only just a really big fan of the first 13. 13-2, I really struggled to enjoy that as much as I did the first one. There were just too many things in that game that I was not super into. A lot of my pet peeves for RPGs were in that game. So it was really hard for me to get into 2, and because I never finished 2, I never played 3. But I am like, I'm just waiting, because it's inevitable. Square Enix has to release a 13 trilogy of some type. How can they not? Otherwise, I would probably just do 13-2 on my Series X. I think I would enjoy it a lot more now that I know what to expect. But going into that expecting one thing and getting another was kind of a big turn-off for me with that game. Okay, so maybe that was a really rare limited edition chromatic. 10-2. I'll let you know when I give it a chance again. This is a pretty good game. I turned off 10-2 within like the first 20 minutes of the game back when I originally played it. But when I originally picked it up, I bought it used at GameStop. I didn't buy that day one. Because you gotta remember, I used to not be a very big fan of Final Fantasy X. It's only in recent years that I've grown to really like it and appreciate it more. So my opportunity to finally play 10-2 has not been for long. Some nice clean shots. Look at these photos. Camera doesn't move an inch. They line the discs up. D is straight line lined up. Some good photos. It's like a photo shoot for this game. I do not have a resurfacing machine. How do I deal with scratches? I don't. If my disc doesn't work, then the game just ends. I keep telling myself one day I'll send my discs in somewhere to get them repaired, but that day has never come. I just try not to buy discs with heavy scratches. Is this really $1,000? I used to have a couple of these. I sold them. They are really nice guides, though. Really good quality. The Pippin. The console where the games are way harder to get than the console itself. Wow, they... wireless receiver. Oh, that's... Is this just for the controller? Oh, it is, wow. So it's for the wireless controller with the receiver. Controller for that always looked terrible. eBay store. When I had my PO box opened, I was listing auctions and stuff. I would list them on stream, but I gotta renew my PO box. Once I renew my PO box, I'll probably occasionally list some things. People seem to have fun with it last time. I love this. Price drop. $400. I don't think I've ever seen somebody put price drop in their title. Man, I remember this guide. I remember reading this thing front to back. I think we all did when we were obsessed with Pokemon if you had this. Look at that. This thing was like a little miniature Bible for your Pokemon game. Maps and stuff. It was small. Oh, mine had the same issue. I think everybody's had this issue because you tore this out of the magazine, so like it would always tear along the edge here. Wow. Come on. Watch for the Pokemon animated series near you. Pokemon hits the airwaves this fall on the station listed here. And many more. Check your local listings. Wow, that's crazy that they advertised the premiere of the show and then put all of the areas it would premiere in. In the good old days before people really knew how insane Pokemon was about to get. $90-day warranty insert. They want $200 for this. This is the current state of game collecting. I believe these were included with any employee purchase made by a Nintendo Play out of the employee store for use product. Interesting. You would have to be hardcore as hell to buy this. Seriously. $200 for that? Come on. Is Oblivion my favorite game? It is not. But I look forward to seeing what happens with the remake.
Kakong wants to search for sold LaserDisc. Trekkie 313 wants you to predict the price of Fire Shark Genesis.
Trekkie has an obsession with that Fire Shark game. I think he's asked me about that one like a year ago. Trekkie loves Fire Shark. Sold minus outplayer. Okay. Mecha Kong wants me to search for LaserDisc sold. I'm always surprised by how cheap LaserDisc stuff is, still, most of it. Mecha Kong. What you got me searching here? I think we have to choose a genre. Covers on these things, though, are really awesome. They really let the art shine through in a different way from like your typical VHS, because it's completely square, right? So like you don't gotta letterbox it or like chop off parts. $400 for the Matrix. Yeah, I think that's what happens is a lot of the laser discs themselves are pretty cheap, but then getting a player is a real challenge. Yeah, they're like oversized CDs. I don't think I've ever seen this art for Star Wars. It's pretty nice. These are movies. It's a really hideous face. Gorgo. I never watched Gorgo. I gotta try watching this sometime. I feel like I'm about to go off on a really big kaiju movie kick. It's only a matter of time. Okay, apparently Scorch 2 is sleazy horror. Let's try action. Actually, let's... Yeah, action should be good. You can see the prices here, though. It's really... The prices on these are super affordable. If you're looking to be hipster and start collecting LaserDisc, you know? You're looking for something a little different. These are the kind of things, though, you're not going to find these out in the wild. You're going to have to buy these online. Do I own LaserDisc? I don't. But I've been requested to look at sold LaserDisc. Let me see what kaiju movies they have on here. Let's see if anybody uses this keyword. A few. Damn, that's some awesome Godzilla art. Super colorful. It's only 35 bucks too. You'd think something like that would be so much more. Even Rodan. Oh, this is my favorite Godzilla movie. This is most people's, like, one of their least favorite Godzillas. This is one of my favorites. Probably my favorite of the ones I've seen. Tackle Monsters. It's just such a silly movie. But I really liked it because there were so many weird little monsters that made their, like, appearance in here. Gabara. It's one of my favorites right there. Super goofy character. And I thought the interactions with the kid with the baby Godzilla, Minya, were fun. Like, as a kid watching that, it was entertaining. But it is one of the silliest Godzilla movies you can watch. Hands down. Kaiju stuff pretty cheap. And this is your only LaserDisc Godzilla. That's the one you bought of all the ones you could have bought. I have not watched this movie since it came out. Since I saw it in theaters in 1998. I mean, I take that back. I probably, like, watched it on VHS at some point after that, but yeah, I have not watched this in forever. I don't know what I would think of it now, to be honest. No idea. You collect that movie on every format. Yeah, I'll be honest though, when it comes to, like, Godzilla movies, I really don't need to see it on the highest quality, like 4K criterion. If anything, it makes the movies a little jarring to watch because you're seeing details you're not really meant to see. I would be completely content watching Godzilla movies on VHS. If anything, I think that's maybe one of the better ways to watch them. But these days, I mean, whatever makes them easy, like the easiest DVD collection you can buy or streaming service. Here's a Famiclone game for you. Poker 2-in-1. Here, Trekkie wants me to price predict Fire Shark. So let's see what Fire Shark is going for these days. It's probably still right around the $100 mark. $70 for this one. $80. Okay, yeah, it actually used to be about 60 to 80, so it hasn't really gone up much at all. Such a cheap shoot 'em up. So let's take a look first at how many are available. Wow. Okay, hold on, we gotta go under video games. That would be why. $65. That is a lot of copies for a Sega Genesis shoot 'em up. Of course, not all of them will be the correct version. Taking a look here. What, did they bring it out on Switch? Oh, Toplon. Arcade Garage. Oh, they did, okay. They did an individual release for it, huh? Okay. So I'd say there's what? How many on here? 20? 20 copies, probably. It's on the high side for a shoot 'em up. Recently sold. I don't know what the deal is with this. I guess it's like a newer version of Fire Shark. I don't know if it's a word of some type. The game sells not that frequently, actually. Sporadically. 1 or 2 a month, it seems. I don't know. I really don't think this game is in danger of becoming more expensive. It's just not one of the shoot 'em ups that people really talk about on the Genesis. I know you love it, Trekkie. I've played it. I don't mind it. I think it's kind of cool. But it's just really not one of those ones that people immediately want when they start collecting for Genesis or shoot 'em ups in general. So, it's also one of the more common shoot 'em up games on the Genesis. So I really don't see this game, if it ever went up, I don't think it would crack $100. It's around 80 right now, 70 to 80. I think it's really gonna stay here. It's been at this price forever. Also, in my opinion, the cover is not super flattering. Typically, shoot 'em ups do really well when they have some kind of alien-like presence on the cover, like monsters and fantasy. This is a bit more tame. And I do think that plays a big part. I think people are very much influenced by the artwork on a shoot 'em up. I don't think this is one of the better ones. So I would say, like, even 5 years from now, I think this game will be around the same price, if not maybe like $10 more or something. I don't really see the demand for this. Check our auctions. After we do affiliate review. Lunar Remastered. Yeah, I haven't picked that up yet. That seems like something I would pick up on sale at a later point. I have not heard anybody talking about Lunar Remastered, to be honest with you. No impressions from anybody whatsoever. So, I couldn't tell you what people are saying about it. Alright, so this is affiliate review between March 9th and 15th. So if you bought something between this date, hopefully it will show up. Oh, I don't know. I don't know if it's come out yet. Oh, physical pre-order. Sorry, I thought you were speaking as though it came out. If I was gonna say if it came out, boy, the fanfare must have been really small. Are they doing a like collector's edition for that, or is it just gonna be a standard physical? They aren't doing pre-orders and are doing an Amazon release. Oof. Okay, so that would explain why Funny couldn't find a physical pre-order. Alright, so if I were you, I would just make sure you have the landing page open on the day it's supposed to release and just keep refreshing it. Get your pre-order in. I think something like that is going to be a bit underground enough that like the hardcore fans will get their pre-order in, but I think most people are going to not even be aware that that's what they're doing with the pre-order, so I think it'll be fun. Alright, so we got a PS4 Pro Monster Hunter World console. Is it like themed for Monster Hunter? Let's find out. Oh wow. I like the box. The console? Oh, okay, I see it. You can kind of see like the silhouette with the flames. That's neat. I am not a big fan of, like, I appreciate them. I love themed consoles, but I am not the type of person to pick up a themed console. I really like my consoles to be as boring and monochrome as possible. That's me though. I just want something super plain. But I do like the way they look. Shota Imanaga? No clue what sport they're from, but someone bought a card. Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate for the Switch, $27. Everybody's on their Monster Hunter kick right now, thanks to Wilds. Diddy Kong Racing Japanese Complete in Box for $24. Man, you really do save a lot of money for buying Japanese N64 games, that is for sure. Blue Reflection? The soundtrack? Oh man, somebody knows what's up. If you're gonna buy a RPG soundtrack, that's a little off kilter. It's a good one to go with. At that point, you don't even gotta buy the game anymore, because the best part about the game was the damn music. It's a good soundtrack. Really interesting cover, though. I would easily pass that by on the listings and not realize what it was. Nicorette is back, keeping it up. We typically see a Nicorette on here once a month or so. Forza Horizon, Kinect compatible. We better see a Kinect pickup on here to go along with it. That is also way more expensive than I would have thought, $22. $13 soundtrack limited edition. Oh, very nice. Someone has very good taste in their RPG music. 13, one of the more underrated soundtracks. Doesn't get enough appreciation. I have like such a weird with listening. I used to buy a lot of soundtracks for games, But then I started getting into this point where, like, I would listen to the really good soundtracks a lot. Like, pop the CD in the car or listen to it as I drive. But then I found when I went to go back and play the game, the music wasn't quite as effective because I had listened to it so much outside of the game. So I really stopped picking up, like, RPG soundtracks for the most part. There's something about not hearing a game soundtrack for years and years and years, and you go back and you play it again and you hear it again for the first time in a long time, and you're like, it's just so much more immersive, memorable. But if you're listening to the soundtrack constantly between your playthroughs, you're going to be like, oh, there's the song that I've listened to 50 times since I last played the game. Some people, you know, can interpret it differently. Some people would say that listening to the music more outside of the game makes you appreciate it more. I could see it, but I try not to go overboard. I used to do that with Etri and Odyssey. I used to listen to the soundtracks for that all the time outside of the game. So, you know, I gotta have that cool-off period, so when I go to play it again, I like it. I can go, oh yeah, this song. Upper Deck patch card. A lot of 5 CDI games. Now we're talking. I think it depends how much you go over the top listening to it outside of the game. I think it depends how much. Like, if you're listening to it once every few months, probably not that big of a deal, but if you're listening to it super frequently, I think it can definitely affect the next time you play the game. How many pictures do we need of Dark... Oh, they just bought Dark Castle. Huh, I thought it said more. A lot of 5 Felix CDI games. Is this the right listing? This is totally not the right listing. Weird, it's showing me something different. That's weird. So they bought Dark Castle, Battleship, and Chess. I'm sure you'll have a blast with these with those games. I don't know what the other 2 were though. Honey in the Sky, I guess. That's a pretty okay game. I remember finding that. I was in a... I think it was one of the game stores I went to when I was in Seattle. Or was it Portland? Well, either way, I remember finding this in one of, like, a record store. They had it in a case. And they actually labeled the English. I appreciated that. They labeled the English name on the game. This is another good one. It's like an action platformer. ChemDream got the good taste. If I remember right. The name looks very familiar. We looked everywhere. Did I not copy this right? Hold on. Oh, this game. I was thinking of a different game. This is... What was the North American version of this? I played this. It was pretty good. Can't remember the English name. I think, right? This had a TurboGrafx version, right? This is one you should look into, by the way, ChemDream, since you're looking for TurboGrafx games you can play without knowing Japanese. Hiho Densetsu Chris no Boken. I streamed this one a long time ago. It's like an action platformer. It does have a lot of anime cutscenes. Of course, the back of the box doesn't show you any gameplay, but it is a action platformer, which is very playable. I'll link this for you in chat, or anybody else in chat, just so that you can remember the name. The name is not exactly something easy to jot down. This one has some stains on it, so I don't know if you want to pick up this copy. house music and games. It's possible I did. Yeah, it was a very big record store. I think I did a video on it. It appeared in one of my videos I did back then. It was the same store that I picked up Hamtaro in, I believe, on the Game Boy Color, if I recall correctly. Tim, you don't gotta spam the same question 3 times in a row every time you ask something. We gotta put you in the timeout corner to think about what you did. But yeah, you could just ask something once. You don't gotta spam your question 3 times in a row every time you ask something. It spams the chat for everybody. Prism Draft Packs, Riley, Leonard, Orange, Pulsar. Oh, they got the bookend card. I'm a fan of bookends. Bookends in the Topps world are, so if something is serialized to 49, if you get number 1 of 49 or 49 of 49, some people actually hold those to a higher value because it's kind of cool to get like the last or the first one they printed for that card. I like bookends. So if I ever see one that's like same price as a non-bookend, I would just get the bookend. Bejeweled 3, Zuma, and Feeding Frenzy 2. Oh, nice. Some classics in there. I was a huge fan of Feeding Frenzy. Such a great game. Devil May Cry HD for the PS4. I feel like, I don't know if it's going to be this year, but I really want to play more Devil May Cry games. Obviously, we're saving 2 and 3 for the PS2 wheel, but everything beyond that is up for grabs for what I would want to play. Baldur's Gate Forgotten Realms, $35. Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power Season 1 and 2. This has got to be a reproduction, right? There's no way. Are they actually selling physical copies of that? This has to be someone just like CDRing this, right? I don't think they print these with Amazon Prime. Yeah, you got all the knockoffs on here. Yeah, I couldn't do it. I gave up maybe 6 episodes into the first season. That's not my Lord of the Rings. I would prefer to just not know whatever this fanfiction lore is and just it's just better for me to not know what happens in this show and just keep the movies and the books in my mind and be happy with that. No interest in ever watching these. That's how I'm approaching it. I wish I did the same with Star Wars. I really want to get into reading those legacy books though. I think I'm going to take that recommendation. Go back and read all those like extended universe books. Borderlands Ladder 3 pre-sequel Borderlands Game of the Year. Borderlands 2 PS3. Okay, well, hey, some good varied pickups here. I'd say the best. What was the most fun pickup here? Oh, hold on, I completely skipped a Game Boy lot for $55. Hold on, we got to see what's in here. This could be a crazy deal. Two Towers, Frogger, Yu-Gi-Oh! This lot looks very familiar. I don't know if this is something we found on stream. It does look very familiar. Some good pickups in here. Harry Potter RPG. Quest for Camelot is like a decent little Zelda clone. Spyro games, Crash. I think we did find this on stream. I kind of remember finding a lot with Spyro and Crash games, but I could be wrong. Good deal on this though. Yeah, we see the nicotine pick up a lot, but we always shout out the nicotine mints. Honestly, I'm gonna give it to the CDI person Because you almost never see anybody picking up freaking CDI games. So shoutouts to that person. You're taking one for the team, picking up some real choice games there, boy, let me tell you. Dark Castle is rough on the CDI. Rough, really rough. Good luck with that one. Holy crap. $1.25 for this giant collector's box? Monster Jam Steel Titans. Wow, Xbox One. Xbox One collecting right now is crazy. $1.25. Something tells me... Okay, is this missing something? This has to be missing something. Collector's Edition, Local Trucks, the Truck Facts Postcard Book and Original Bob. No Gravedigger Diecast. Oh, okay. Somebody probably just really needed the box. But still, even with this box for $1.25, $15 shipping, depending on where they're shipping from and to, that they may be paying out of pocket to like just send this to somebody. Because shipping can definitely go more than $16. And then with the fees and everything, I'm pretty sure they're paying out of pocket to sell this. Like, in other words, spending more money than they made to get rid of it. Yeah, you probably don't want to put something like that up for auction. How did I get under sold listings? Interesting. Let's give it a look real quick. Yeah, that can happen with games. You just got to be patient. The price on it should come down probably something like that, maybe a couple of months after the release of Black 2. Or sorry, I mean 4. That happens with a lot of series. People will just go crazy, and what ended up happening is the game is not exactly rare, but what happens is that whatever is available on sites like eBay or Amazon, Mercari, everything gets bought out because everybody at once suddenly becomes interested in revisiting the series out of the hype created for the new ones. So they dry up the supply, but in a game like that that's not actually rare, it just sort of repopulates itself over time. It takes a while, but there's tons of copies out there. Just gotta be patient. $30 for Mario Galaxy 2. How the heck they didn't put that with that Mario collection is beyond me. Demand is very high right now. The same thing happened with Shadow the Hedgehog. So Shadow the Hedgehog went crazy in price right before the Sonic 3 movie hit. It is still way more expensive than it's ever been, but the price is like slowly creeping down. The thing about Shadow the Hedgehog, it's available on multiple platforms. It's not actually a rare game. Heck, it's not even really an uncommon game. But the demand is just so high that the price went crazy. But something like that, you know, there's a cool-off period. Same thing will happen with Ninja Gaiden for sure. And how do I know? Because there's so many examples between... Now that we've seen what happens with like the 360 store closure, so what I like to call the 360 apocalypse, the PS3 apocalypse, when like the stores get announced for shutdown or actually get shut down, the price on games go way high. And then the prices remain high for a while because the inventory gets cleaned out across the internet. But the thing is, the games that are not actually rare slowly come back into stock. The games that are rare or uncommon, yeah, those ones sometimes see a permanent increase. But the ones that are not rare, they absolutely all come back down in price. So it's not like I'm just using some kind of weird 1 or 2 games to kind of like predict what's going to happen with Ninja Gaiden. It's just like proven across the board. If the game is considered fairly common, the wait can be bad to wait for the price to come back down, but it absolutely does. I don't think there is a single PS3 game that is more expensive now than it was when people were panic buying games years ago. Even in the 360's case, I'm pretty sure that every 360 game that went up in price dramatically, those like peak prices that we were seeing, I don't think any of them have maintained or gone above those peak prices. They've all come down. Great game. Great game with some empty promises. I was very disappointed that they never patched in online multiplayer. What a missed opportunity. I remember the developers were even saying like, yeah, we're going to patch in online multiplayer. Never happened for Cruis'n Blast. Great racing game though. Would have been so good online. I just think it didn't sell enough copies for them to be able to do it. I played Okami when it came out. I was a very big Okami 1 fan, but I fell off really hard with Okami Den. I was not into Okami Den. It was a little too puzzly for me. And I actually still have not played Okami HD, so I will absolutely be playing Okami HD before the sequel. Need a refresher on the game anyway. We're seeing the auctions that we looked at earlier, like what they went for. Some of them didn't move at all. Anyway, let's check the new stuff before the time gets too late and then people aren't listing things. Yeah, I was pretty into Okami. I was picking up like some merch here and there for it. But it's just one of those series. There's been quite a few series. It's actually a really interesting topic for a video that I should do. Game series where I started off like absolutely obsessed with them and then just somehow my interest dropped like a freaking rock for everything else that came out afterwards for the series. A great example of that was God of War 1. I was just like, my hype for that was so intense that I bought a freaking giant standee before the game even came out. Which I would not recommend doing, okay? You don't want to do that just in case. But yeah, I bought a giant God of War 1 standee where he's like holding the Medusa head. Shit was like 5 feet tall. I bought it before the game even released to buy. I was just so confident I was going to love that game. And I did. But I still to this day am really not sure what happened because I still have never played God of War 2 or 3. The only other God of War I've played is Chains of Olympus on PSP. And then I played a little bit of the God of War remake. Wasn't for me. And I dropped it. God of War is a series for me. It's just such an interesting case study of like obsession to I couldn't care less. I think it would actually be a really interesting video topic. And I'm telling you, eBay is creepy as hell sometimes. Like, are you guys seeing this? Every single week we go through this. We talk about something out of the blue, and 5 seconds later, we're literally seeing what I just talked about. This has been going on for years, by the way. Like, this always happens. So trippy. There's the God of War collection. I don't even think it's a coincidence at this point. How does this even play on the Game Boy Advance? Night Trap on the Game Boy Advance. That has got to be an experience. No gameplay included, just sit back and watch Night Trap? Oh. Well, that explains how it plays. That's pretty misleading. Definitely had me wondering. I have Not Really Ranger? No. GameCube for me right now, there's only a very small select handful of games I'm even looking for. Kirby Air Ride, Wario World, Pokemon XD, Gale of Darkness. Billy Hatcher, because I've somehow still never played Billy Hatcher. I think I still need Billy Hatcher. I don't remember if I ended up buying that. There was a time where I was like holding a poll or something for that to be played, but I'm not sure if I bought it before the poll or not. Yeah, not too many. I'm pretty content with my GameCube games. It's a very curated collection. I remember when I had the AES, I was like really trying to get these Sengoku games, and I never got one. Yeah, or maybe it was one for MVS. Maybe I was trying to get the first one at MVS, but that was back when AES games weren't quite as insane as they are now. You used to be able to get AES games for, believe it or not, like $50-60 bucks, $50 to $60. There were quite a few AES games you used to be able to get really affordably. Is this guy at, like, it looks like they were almost in a lounge of some type.
Bandit Bananas is forcing you to search for Skylanders.
I saw their lights and I'm like, are they in a bar? No, it just makes them look like they're playing poker. Yeah, eBay can be torturous. But yeah, I don't usually deal in buying games like that. Typically when I'm buying games now, I'm just picking them up at conventions or being super patient and hunting like the best deals possible on eBay by like following a listing or something if I really needed something specific. The dark blue discs are CDs. Those are the early PS2 games. Alright, we are being forced to search for Skylanders. Fortunately or unfortunately, depending on what your opinion on Skylanders is. But it is our check-in to see the health of the market for Skylanders, which may shock you if you have never seen what Skylanders are selling for and how often they are selling these days. I want you to pay attention to the sold date, okay? And I want you to see how many listings we go through for Skylanders that have sold just in the past day. Right, so we just hit the 23rd on the East Coast. So you won't see any 23rd on here, but just keep an eye on the 22nd. And I also want you to pay attention to the prices. You tell me that they don't have a potential good revival on their hands. Skylanders was supposed to come back. There were very, very strong indications of a Skylanders remake that apparently got dropped last year. So I don't think it's happening now. $162. So for those of you that are furiously digging through your Skylanders collections, the only ones that are worth big money these days are the Imaginators, which is the last set that came out. The other ones can be worth something, but the big one is the last set that they ever released. Of course, that's typically how it goes. Hello, Mineskin. I think the majority of people that buy games nowadays are going to play or looking to flip. I don't think people are necessarily looking to flip. I think most of the people that are buying games on here are actually buying them to play them. I think it's getting pretty hard for people to flip games at this point, right? You would have had to have gotten into it. Look at this, $200. But man, you can't deny that that is some crazy detail in a Skylander. I think it's gotten to the point where it's getting harder for people to buy games to flip them if you're into that kind of thing. Because the prices are so high, it's like, at what point can't you even increase the price anymore? So, I think a lot of those people are probably leaving and going into other flipping hobbies, hopefully. Like Pokemon. Pokemon is insane right now for that kind of thing. I don't know how many of you are keeping up with the Pokemon madness, but it is... People are getting into literal street fights in the parking lot over Pokemon right now. And I'm not joking, like flying kicks in the parking lot because they didn't get a box of Pokemon cards. So, be glad that that kind of stuff has not infiltrated games yet. Or maybe those are the people that were flipping games moving over to Pokemon. I don't know. We're still on the 22nd, by the way. I remember this guy was one of the bigger ones that people wanted. What was his name? Oh, Boomer. Yeah. Wow, it's just so surprising to me that this is still $25. Once upon a time, I knew a lot about collecting Skylanders. I really don't anymore. But this used to be like a $20 figure, and he is still somehow $25 to $30. It's impressive. Considering these games are long dead, and the chips inside of these things are like dying, so you can't even save progress on them anymore. Swap Force Doomstone, $44? Jeez. I'm still so fascinated by what is driving these prices. Like, is it nostalgia? Is it the kids that grew up with it looking to get back into it? Or is it the parents getting it for their kid? Like, I don't know. I personally don't see much content for Skylanders online. I don't know what is driving the constant purchasing and prices of these things. But it is fascinating to see. We're nearing 200 Skylander items bought just today. We're on the 4th page already. Skylanders Imaginators goes for $150. $150 on the Switch. Well, you got to look at something like trading cards, right? It's like saying somebody that is really into cards, why would they buy trading cards if they could just look at the images of them online? Right? It's just like a primal thing within people to want to collect and own things physically. It goes for all kinds of hobbies. Okay, there we go. It's now until the 21st. So we saw approximately 200 Skylanders sell just today. 200 Skylanders listings. And that's about right. For every day, there's approximately 200 listings selling on eBay. It's impressive. It's still going strong. Yeah, graded games, I'm not super involved or interested in that market. I understand why they do it. Because let's face it, if you had a sealed copy of Chrono Trigger, I think you would want to protect that, right? And if you're going to protect it, you may as well protect it with something that may, in the future, if graded games still are a thing, years down the line, you'd probably want to protect it with something that may have way more value than had you not graded it, if that makes sense. So I understand why they grade super rare games. It's like, why do people grade trading cards, right? Same reason. What I'm not a fan of, though, are grading opened games. Games that are not sealed, complete in box, and people grade them. That makes no sense to me. That's like a whole nother mentality, and I think they're probably into the hobby for the wrong reasons, but yeah, that's definitely a subset of game collecting that I don't get. People grading modern games. I think that's just a very weird subset of like investor type people. So remember how we were all getting very worried about like people invading the hobby that are really just in it for the money? I think the people that you see grading modern games fresh out of a box and then immediately trying to flip them on eBay for hundreds of dollars, yes, those are the toxic investor type people that probably have very little interest in the hobby. Like, they're just in it simply for the money. And I would not doubt it if there's some real shenanigans going on with that stuff. Like, people that are grading sell, like the people that are buying are kind of also in a circle together, trying to make it appear like these brand new graded games should be worth $300 when you can go to the store and buy it for $60. Right? Like, I'm sure there's some weird shenanigans going on with that. We saw this auction last week. It's a good lineup of games here. Is it worth 140 though? Let me check this. 12 games. Most of these games are worth around the $10 to $15 mark. This is like a $10 game. This is like 10 to 15. 10 to 15. Dark Alliance has come down big time. Now it's like 15 to 20. Return to Arms is about 40. Rygar is about 15. Market Cree is like 10. Mist is like 5 to 8. Dark Cloud is about 15 to 20. Summoner is about 10 if you're lucky. Prism's like 10. Eternal Ring is about 20. So let's see. Quick math here. 20. Their opening bid price is fair. Like, if you actually, for some reason, wanted all these games and wanted a slight discount on buying them all individually, their asking price is actually okay. Does it come to all games complete? I think we saw this last week and they dropped their price a little bit, because I don't remember it being that cheap, but I could be wrong. I will link this just in case. Just because I like the game selection. It's a very unusual, like, early RPG mix in here. You don't typically see PS2 lots with this type of lineup. How do I feel about X-ray stuff with the card stuff? Card packs? Yeah, it's probably a little too technical of a thing to get into with people here that don't really follow cards, but let's just say that the X-ray stuff seems to have died off. Like, no one even talks about it anymore, which is a good thing. I'm sure some people out there are definitely X-ray scanning their booster packs and boxes, but the fact that nobody is speaking about it as being a problem right now, I think is a good thing. I think it's kind of blown over. I don't think it's something to be too worried about. How long after a game's sell date does the sale still count? What do you mean by that? What do you I'm not sure what you mean. So Lord of the Rings Fellowship of the Ring on Game Boy Advance is a tricky one because you can run into the possibility of getting soft locked in Mordor. I don't know what causes a cart to soft lock you or not soft lock you, but if you do get soft locked in Mordor, just make sure that you refer to my speedrun so you know how to pause your game to get out of the soft lock. But yeah, Lord of the Rings on Game Boy Advance is actually a really cool game if you want a Lord of the Rings game that is like very much based on the books, because they put characters in there that are not in the films. They rip dialogue straight from the books. It's actually pretty cool. I think you will appreciate it, especially if you're a fan of turn-based RPGs. I think you'll get a kick out of the entire Fellowship being in a lineup in a turn-based RPG. However, I cannot guarantee that you will get as much joy out of that game as I did. So proceed with caution. Oh, cards as a hobby can be super fun. But yeah, you need to have a very narrow mindset with cards. You need to know why you're getting into it and what you want to collect specifically. Like with Pokemon, I made the mistake of thinking that I wanted to get into modern Pokemon cards when that was far from the answer. You can't force it with Pokemon. Like, you're either into the new stuff or you're not. So once you like find your call, so to speak, that's what you gotta stick with. Something very niche, very specific. Like for Pokemon, I'm into a very specific error card for base set that not a lot of people collect, and they're typically not too expensive because nobody really cares about them. I collect the gray stamp variants for base set, for those of you that know what that is. Essentially, the first edition symbol appears gray instead of the dark black ink, which people have a lot of theories what caused it. Essentially, it pretty much boils down to when they were printing the cards, the black ink was either light on ink when they printed the first edition stamp, or it rubbed off onto the sheet on top of it because it didn't dry fast enough. So those create gray stamp variants. So I really enjoy those because they don't pop up often, so it kind of like narrows what you're looking for. I also really enjoy collecting first edition Wizards of the Coast cards for like weird, non-expensive holo cards. Like non-holo, non-expensive. So what do I mean by that? Like, let's just say I don't discriminate my Pokemon, okay? I take any Pokemon. So it can be something like a Metapod, a Rattata. I don't give a crap what the Pokemon is. If there's a really cool looking art, first edition for Wizards of the Coast card, and it's got like a very low population for like CGC, who I agreed with, I'm interested in that stuff. I really like the thrill of having a card that not a lot of other people have in a high grade, because nobody cares about the Pokemon or the card. So I kind of like that, the hunt for those. And they tend to be pretty cheap because nobody's caring about them, right? So instead of getting like a reverse holo, I'll just go for the common version of it. because not a lot of people care about the commons, like the non-reverse, non-hollow. So you just gotta really figure out what you're looking for if you're gonna get into cards. Cards also have their fair share of scumminess, though, as for sure. Like, I would not recommend that you get involved with Whatnot for Pokemon. Whatnot is probably okay for like other cards, like if you're like a very small community of something, right? Like of say MetaZoo or Garbage Pail Kids, or you know, just not Pokemon. Okay, do not do Pokemon on Whatnot. That is like the cesspool of the internet. You don't want to get involved in that. What is Blur going for these days? It used to be about, man, what, 40 to 60 during the 360 apocalypse? Actually, I think during the 360 apocalypse, it was like a $70 game. Let's see what it's going for now. The Pop 1, yep. I love nothing more than to get a Pop 1 pristine for some random ass card that no one cares about. I'll show my collection one day of the ones I've collected over like the last year and a half or so. It's like, listen, you can have your $20,000 Charizards. I'll take my pristine Population 1 Caterpie with the little clay sculpt by Yukimori. I'll take it. I'll take that any day over Charizard. Okay, price has fallen back down to reality on Blur. Whatnot, you just got to be very careful. If you bought a couple of years back, it's probably not as crazy as it is now. There are a ton, and I mean a ton, of scammers on Whatnot. Very shady things going on Whatnot. If you're buying slabs, that's probably a bit different than buying singles and sealed packs. I would refer to you to someone that is very contentious in the hobby, but I would refer you to look at Rattle Pokemon's videos because he covers Whatnot drama. So if you ever need reminders as to why you should not be buying Pokemon on Whatnot, just check his videos. There's pretty much daily content at this point of Whatnot scams that happen every day. People doing drugs on stream and assaulting their child, right? Like, literally on the stream. That's one of the latest videos. Just like some crazy stuff that goes on Whatnot these days. Illegal lottery laws and gambling, and yeah, it's... And Whatnot doesn't do anything about it, which is the funniest part. They don't do anything. He'll come. You just got to type in Rattle Pokemon. He'll be the first result. He is a very contentious figure within the Pokemon community because some people really hate the spotlight and like how he, you know, profits off of making videos about Pokemon drama. But hey, it brings a spotlight on the stuff that people wouldn't see otherwise. It really brings a spotlight onto the terrible people that are in the hobby. And Whatnot. Whatnot. For Pokemon specifically. I'm not sure about other stuff on there, but Pokemon it's pretty bad these days. Yeah, no problem. They do kind of sound a little samey. Yeah, Mercari. Mercari is alright. They were really good a few years ago. Now they're a fraction of their past selves. Do I collect Famicom games? I do not collect Famicom games right now. I did in the past a little bit, back when they were, you know, not insanely priced. I would say if you're really looking to get into Famicom, you're best off not buying on eBay, and probably best off buying through Yahoo Japan auctions or Mercari Japan, and then using a middleman to ship it to you. Like, when I say middleman, I mean a middleman service. where they'll like ship it to a warehouse and then ship everything to it once. That'll be the best way to get the best deals on Famicom. The sellers on eBay for Famicom are crazy. Like, they mark stuff up very high. Even the Japanese sellers. You cannot trust the prices that you see on eBay without doing research before buying it. Yeah, I plan on doing a video on my card game channel talking about best practices for getting into cards, like if you're thinking of getting into collecting cards, and like what works for me. For people that are thinking about the hobby. Yeah. Anyway, I hate to be the bringer of bad news, but I do have to get up pretty early tomorrow. I've got a busy day ahead of me, so I do have to cut the stream short here. But hey, you know, we'll be back at it next week. And thank you everybody for tuning in tonight. Great little fun, slightly shorter eBay stream than normal. Thank you for tuning in. Remember, if you're on the YouTube side, you can watch the VOD. As soon as the stream ends, just go to the live tab and you'll be able to just go back and watch it from the beginning. But thank you guys, you have a good night. And I'll see you all hopefully tomorrow.